This is the 8-9 Combo.
This is the 8-9 Combo. I'm Brett McKay. This is Harry Jones. This is the Weekend Post-Mortem. And you're going to have to bear with us. We're just trialling a few little things that might help us through the Lions series. It might not help us through the Lions series. We'll see, Harry, how this all goes. But so far, so good. We're 30 seconds in.
How's it, Brett? You're looking at me in a weird way. The angle's wrong.
I
It
am.
reminds me of this time
Yeah.
I was going to go to some family. My mom was taking us. I was a little kid, and she said, one of the girls that we're going to be at this family, she's got a different shaped head, and she's got some differences. If you look at her at all, when we get back home, I will kill you. I will murder you. Do not look at her. And we got there, and all I could do was stare at her because I go, what is that head? That head is wild. So right now I'm having trouble because you're
Yeah.
looking beyond me diagonally to the ceiling. I'm not sure. Yeah, usually I'm just focused on you. That's how we do this thing.
It's a bit weird. Suddenly my camera is that way instead of that way, and I've got things over here, so I am looking all over the place.
I'm
So
gonna look at your beard. I'm just gonna stare at your beard. That's my plan. Okay, good.
Yeah, we'll have to make that work. We'll just have to try and make it work. But we are back with the Weekend Post-Mortem, ripping into all the big moments and all the big results around the rugby world this weekend. And the Lions tour is officially underway. It's exciting now, isn't it?
Lions. Historico! Viva Argentina! Muchísimo!
How good. And we will get into that. Into Argentina's little piece of history. But before we do that, could you tell the nice people why we would really love them to help to subscribe and maybe be the ones that push us over 8,000? We think it could happen this week.
Normally you pitch this to me and I have nothing prepared and I just pull it out of my arse. So this time I
No, but that's the joys.
No, but I've gone a different way. I've actually prepared something. So I would welcome you to join us because you love myths. Myths are collections of traditions, stories, surmounting nature, tales which give us a clue about our culture's origin, beliefs. They're not fiction per se because we know they're not, we don't believe them to be true. They're poetically true. They're truer than true. Like, for example, in Australia, maybe the mateship, fairness, space, vastness of the possibilities. In America, it'd be the self-made man, the rugged individualist. 8-9 Combo, I want you to join this myth because you're in early. You can help us create the myth. We don't even know what it is. An 8 and a 9. What is that? Be part of the journey. Be part of the original, the blood of the saints that died long before you. You are them. You're in on the ground floor. You can help us create this story. Was that too much?
So you prepared that?
Yes. Yeah. I took a lot of thought, but when I was on pain meds earlier, that sounded better than it really was.
Yeah, right. Gotcha. That makes perfect sense. If you are watching us on YouTube and you're not subscribed, and we know that roughly 70% of you are not, just hit it's that way. Hit the little red subscribe button down in the bottom corner, in whichever corner it is for you. But it is there. And if you're listening to the 8-9 Combo on Spotify or Apple Pods or any of the podcast platforms, then just hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow, whatever it might be, wherever you are. And then make sure you turn your notifications on as well. Wherever you are, make sure you turn your notifications on, and then you definitely won't miss a minute. The Lions tour is underway. They are boarding a plane as we speak, en route to Perth. They'll play their first game in Australia next weekend, but their tour got underway with a loss. Argentina 28, British and Irish Lions 24. And I really enjoyed that as a contest. It was just a good game of football played by two teams who really hadn't spent a lot of time together. But it was entertaining because of that, I think.
It was pretty slick. I liked it a lot. However, there are some myths I would like to bust.
Yes,
do.
Please do.
First myth I heard about was, it's number 5 team. Yeah, but Argentina had Vivas at prop, Molina at lock, Manley and Picado in the back line, and Wagner on the beach. Like they had people on the bench that we never heard of before who didn't have pictures associated with them in Rugby Pass. So, Literally, I
Yeah.
think it is more of a situation where two teams were thrown together, with, like you just said.
Yep.
Second, listen, Lions always outperform individual home nations. So even though they are a scratch team, they're so good, like the actual
Yeah.
quality of
Yeah.
each. And you get Genge, Luke Cowan-Dickey, Itoje, Curry, Ben Earl, Alex, Finn, Freeman, Daly, Pollock. And these are all English players. There's a
Yeah.
core there that you could. So I think it was pretty notable. And I think Andy Farrell wasn't pretending to be very upset. I think he said it was unacceptable that we lost the, what do you call, the passion or the hustle, get to the ball. I think Argentina was a step ahead on all the 50-50s. I thought so, all the game. And anytime they were ready to go, man, the Pumas were ready to go.
Yeah, yeah. I think they played into a different level of passion, probably, that they're able to tap into when they need to. When they reach the knockout stage of a Rugby World Cup, and people wrote them off 2 weeks ago. There's something that they can tap into every year, and it gets them into a semi-final.
Their counter
There's
is
just
great too.
Yeah. They played some really, really good rugby.
I mean, look, as a counter-attacking team, when you're up against the Lions, who were playing oddly, let's be honest, there was a bit of a practice. When you do 232 passes, 108 rucks, 150 carries, this is not, like, you wouldn't expect Lions to play that way against Australia. So they played so much rugby, it gave the Pumas these, broken ball, lost ball, thrown, and they just went. They went boom, boom, boom. And I love the fact that when they did get any collected ball like that, they didn't try to get the advantage and get a scrum. They went through the hands, 1-2 go. And then the magic of them running in channels and not doing forward passes, like throwing behind the guy on purpose. The guy had to reach back and get it. It was magical to watch.
Yeah. No, it was good. And look, from a Lions point of view, it was a good first hit out. It was an important first hit out. But as you say, it had a large core of England. There was a large core of
11
English players.
So
I think that's right. And yes, there was none of the Leinster players were there, none of the Bath or Leicester players. So there's probably 15 or so players that can potentially come into this team and make it stronger. But it wasn't a terrible team.
No.
But yes, that was also a long way off being Argentina's top team as well. So I think in context, scrums were fine. They had some like Arki and Sione Tuipulotu in the centres were really good. Like that's a combination worth exploring, I think.
And Hugh Griffin was showing me, he was during the game was showing me like the lineouts, and there were overthrows. They're gonna fix that. Like,
of course,
Maro Itoje is probably staying up all night tonight, and he's so fuming. I don't
already worked it out.
A guy like that will not let that happen again. So yeah, there were some really weird situations. I just enjoyed the passion of the fans. All the guys in Aviva were dressed up in the red, but they had like bagpipes, so you knew they were Scottish. Or they had, they were cheering Ben Earl. I mean, there's no reason you're going to cheer Ben Earl if you're not English.
No, very true.
They had little, songs going, and so it was a sign, an early sign, because they were more passionate at the Aviva for the Lions than they had been for Leinster recently. There was a sign that it is on, man. They are
I think so.
To invade your shores.
And worth remembering, the Lions don't play at home. They are a touring team.
True.
So, for the chance for fans to see this current Lions tour team before they go on tour, there's no wonder there was 50,000 there in Dublin. Like
it was sunlight. It was so hot.
Yes, in short sleeves. They were all in short sleeves.
21 degrees. They were like sweltering.
Yeah. It was great. It was good to see. It was good to see.
I thought Ellis Genge was a really amazing. I thought there were some moments. I thought Tomas Williams might have stated a claim. I think there were some positions. I don't think it decided anyone too much, but Duhan van der Merwe struggled against the high ball, which is a problem against Joseph Akuso-Suali. I thought that Alex Mitchell just didn't look maybe up to the speed of a live wire Argentine 8, 9, 10, combination. Albornoz is a real good
He
test.
looks
Finn Smith.
very good, doesn't he? Yeah.
Like Finn Smith. Maybe,
looks very
okay,
good.
Finn Russell, maybe you do start. I'm not ready.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And Marcus Smith was really good at the back too. So
What about
look,
Daly making his bid? You know, he just comes on, and I never really rate him that much in the club match, but he comes on at these moments and he just looks good.
And it was notable at the end when the Lions come together as a team. They get together in the huddle, and it was Elliot Daly doing all the talking there at the end. This is what we've got to do this week. This is what we've got to fix. It was and Atoja sort of stood back and listened, and I think there was a little shot of him just saying, "Yep, that's what we've got to do."
He could be the Henry Pollock's father. He's old enough, so I can see why he'd listen. I feel a little bit bad. I posted something about Henry, who I enjoy, but he was doing this big thing, and it got like 200,000, and people just were shitting on him. And I thought, no, I'm not really. I'm just saying it's funny. I'm just putting it out there. And it was 95%. What a sausage! You know, he needs.
Yeah, I did see that. I thought that was actually a little bit curious for what was a post sort of saying he's a kid making his Lions debut. You know,
if I was
20.
advising him, though, I would say don't do things pre. Always do things post. So like do something and then do good, funny things. Don't do it before you come on the field. That's what I'm.
Yeah, maybe.
You're setting yourself up for a little bit of a weird situation.
Potentially. It was another big weekend of finals, mate. Super Rugby Pacific Grand Final was run and won, and those dastardly Crusaders have done it again. 16-12, they've beaten the Chiefs, and it was ultimately it had a very similar feel to it. It felt like every other Crusaders grand final win we've ever seen. So, but they controlled that game absolutely beautifully, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know how to think about this because on the one hand, you know, the death of nuance, but I'm going to say something that's sort of, they're two different things that are both true at the same time. It's glorious to have a team that is 32-0 in playoffs, home playoffs. No one has ever beaten the Crusaders at home in playoffs. That's cool. It's got it's got mythological creature to it, sort of. But then on the other hand, could it have been a team that's in a major market with a really cool stadium where there can be actual event planning? Because it's like Super Rugby is held hostage to this dark, dank, weird, dilapidated place where there's no real event planning. It doesn't look exciting. It looks about it. I've been to bar mitzvahs with more, more promotional assets with a better backup band. It just seems like it's dull. And I mean, there's an inevitability to it, and I love the way they play, but quite frankly. But I just at the end of it, I go, where's the fireworks? Where's the stage production?
Well, that was funny in itself because, you know, the celebration,
terrible.
like that looked fine. But then the follow-up was that when they kind of got drowned in it, you then couldn't see them.
It just looks small. It looks varsity. It looks like University of Cape Town against Stellenbosch.
I take your point on that. It had a certain round 9 feel to it.
It feels like no sex, please. We're Kiwis, you know. Like let's not get too excited. Let's not have any sexiness here. We don't want dancing girls. We don't want flyovers. We don't want a major rock band. Like we just want to keep this tight, get it going. Let's win the thing, and then let's all be sheepishly walking off, flipping our celebrations, you know, behind Rups.
Yeah, that's maybe the one disadvantage of not having a set location for a final.
There's a lot of disadvantages, I think. It's hard to plan event planning around this, and I think it's
because you've got less than a week to do it, mate.
The extravaganza is what's missing, you know, and so get the proper stadium. I would always have it in Australia. So I would say if Australia is not going to be in the final, make sure that it's played in Australia, because then you're engaging Australia.
It's never going to fly.
Sydney.
It's never. Boom. It's not going to fly for New Zealand fans.
Kiwis,
and more was the point.
Kiwis in Australia. There's
how
many Kiwis are in Australia? 200.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
No, it's more than that. It's more than that. Yeah. There's multiple reasons.
That was my big idea, by the way.
Yeah, righto. The game
happen.
itself, the game itself was interesting, and I said before that they really controlled that game beautifully. Like they only led 13-12 at halftime. There was only one penalty goal in the second half scored, but I could not see where the Chiefs were going to score a point, or certainly were going to score a try in the second half. They were being so well contained by the Crusaders' defence that it is so comfortable defending that they just couldn't find a way through. And it's not a bad. It wasn't. The Chiefs didn't play poorly. They played about as well as they were allowed to do. And I think that's what we've seen in finals in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I thought our friend Jeff Parks, who's going to come on with us this week, we're talking about how, weirdly enough, it felt like the Blues loss was closer, even though it was 7 points, because at least the Blues were camped in and they actually put up and they were doing. They were trying to like overthrow the fortress in the final seconds, and it was touch and go. Whereas what Jeff said, it was the least close 4-point win ever.
Yes.
It
was something like that.
Preordained. I get what you're saying. I actually enjoyed it, and I was up, obviously at 2 or 3 in the morning. So I'm a purist. I am a rugby purist, and so this appealed to me. I found myself wondering during it, though, if I wasn't a rugby purist and I wasn't from the North Island or South Island of New Zealand, would I really be glued to this as a spectacle? And I felt like I would probably not have been if I wasn't really a rugby fan. So I sort of got it. And here's where I thought, this is my big rant. I thought Super Rugby Pacific had spent half the year scoffing at this type of game, at this kind of defensive struggle, didn't play up the selling aspect of a game where it's 13-12 at halftime and then 16-12 and you go, it's brilliant. I go, how is it brilliant if you kept saying the only brilliant kind of rugby is 9, 10 tries, focused on, scrums and set pieces as mere restarts, when in this game, a scrum bulldozer after a bomb that was, chased well with 9 minutes to go, won the game, and a stonewall defense. That's different. That's rugby. And it's okay to like that. It's okay to think about that as a different way of thinking. So I think maybe going into next season, play up the variety of the ways that different teams play, and because the final should always be the most the most thrilling, not exciting, but thrilling. It should always have the highest viewership, because you go, I don't really care about how many tries were scored. I just want it to be a vicious struggle, a wrestle in the dark in the night for the knife in the mud, and it's so good. I love it.
And it's like celebrate the differences that certain teams will. Like the Crusaders played the knockout games different to how they were playing a month ago, which was different to how they were playing 3 months ago. So
they're so adaptable.
Yes, I get that. Yeah, they're adaptable, and that's why they've won 15 Super Rugby titles here now. And I'll come back to that point too. The Chiefs were interesting. Like it's not even one of those games. It's not even one of those contests where we can say, "Oh, the Chiefs didn't really get to fire a shot." They fired plenty of shots. They had plenty of cracks at it. They did open them up at times, but they just, I don't know. There was something just not quite there, which is a funny thing to say about a team that was playing in their third straight final. It's not like they haven't been there and done that at this level before.
And you look at the one stat that they show this thing about entries and then average points per entry, and you get a team like the Chiefs and they're stuck at 1.8. I'm like, take a drop goal then. If 3 points is higher than your average, don't wait around for it. Like maybe take one early. Set up that kind of mentality that every time I'm down here, I'm taking three. Taking three. And it was that kind of game. All you had to score was 18 points and you win.
Yeah, maybe.
I felt like the Chiefs were not bloody minded about it. They got those tries. I think maybe they kept thinking, oh, we can keep doing that. And I thought the Crusaders just got locked down. They got better and better, and the defensive wall got harder and harder. And I think there was definitely plenty of territory for a drop.
Yeah, there was
2 or 3 drop goals.
There was. We're going to get into. Jeff Parks is joining us midweek for our 8-9 combo chat coming up, and we're looking forward to that. And we will actually get into this a little bit more, I think, about the different elements of Super Rugby Pacific this year. And there's been a little rewriting of Super Rugby history after this final, and what I very deliberately said there before that this is what a team that's won 15 titles has done before, because it is their 15th title. That does include a couple of New Zealand titles, but suddenly the Crusaders have been wound back to 13, as if the 2 COVID titles don't count. But what I don't get is that in 2023, when they won their 14th, they were being celebrated as having won 7 straight. So what we were counting 2 COVID titles in that time, suddenly we're not, and I don't quite get why we're not. So we'll explore that with Jeff on. I
didn't know that scandal was happening. That's terrible.
I just picked it up as the games were wrapping up, and it was being said. It was being said on social media. It was being said in broadcast, and I thought, hang on a minute, this is not quite right here. Anyway, demi-finales in the top 14 have been run and won, and they were won by the teams that we suspected probably would win them, and that's not it there. I've lost my little slide there.
You did an MLR.
I did put an MLR one up there. Yes, I did, which we'll get to. So Toulouse beat Bayonne 32-25. Toulouse beat Bayonne. Yes, Bordeaux beat Toulon 39-24. So 2 very, very similar scores. The 2 games, the 2 semi-finals were both played in Lyon, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were played in the same stadium. Yeah.
They try to do that destination stuff, just like the Champions Cup, because again, you can plan it for a whole year. It was immaculate. The thing looked good. Now I had
58,000 both days. Yeah,
I had memories obviously from being there when Wales beat the Wallabies. But still, it's such a gorgeous stadium. You actually I realized why the World Cup put the game there, which is a soccer stadium, instead of at Gerland. Just so there's some unanimity here. I looked at the stats of all these games: the Crusaders, the Lions, Toulouse, and the Toulon. And it's interesting because in these final games, the kick totals by the winner are phenomenal, astronomical, of kicks out of hand. And the ruck speed is always, the winner is always slower. And we always had this mantra about ruck speed, but it's really ruck speed when you want it, because the reason why the ruck speed is slower for the winners is because they're setting up so many real chase line box kicks and contestables. And they do it on purpose. And the ones that rush those and don't have good chase lines, like I thought the Chiefs started doing by the end, they get done. And the ones that do set up their chase lines and they take their time and they launch it, they get the benefit of the access rules. And that one thing has really, this year's, when I look at all the playoffs,
made a big change.
Playing without the ball on purpose, but really not, because you're putting the ball up and you're saying that is its own contest. Everything is different now. You're so vulnerable to the turnover. Maybe even you catch it, but you get counter-rucked because there's no one around you. I just thought it was phenomenal. And it makes me really wonder how Toulouse and Bordeaux will now square off. Like, who can make who play the protagonist there? Or who's going to say, no, you will play with the ball. No, you'll play with the ball. And they don't want to play with the ball anymore. They don't want to set up 25 phases.
It feels like we've got a bit of a revolution in place as to the way the game is being played, doesn't it? And it was think about the first game. Like Toulouse, that was tight all the way. It was 20 to 15 at half time. And it was sort of penalties, basically. Penalties and one late try that Bayonne scored to bring it back to within 7. So a real not really a contrast of styles. They're both just trying to get it done the way they could. I loved Bayonne really dressed up this whole thing as it was David v Goliath. Even their socials was a lone warrior up against this huge beast going into it. And they really lent into that, which was great. That was really clever doing it. But I think, I mean, once they get over the fact that they've lost the semi-final, they should be really, really proud of the way they played in that game, because they were right into this. Yeah, Ramos had to go into kicking into penalty mode basically to get Toulouse free of them and to get them comfortable.
It's a proper final. Everyone in France knows this already, but anyone who's around there, if you're across the channel, if you're somewhere within reach, go to Bayonne to watch a game. It's one of the most exciting, fun places to go. The team itself, in the town and the team are one. So I thought there was plenty of spirit there. By the way, Bayonne probably played one of their best matches of the whole season. They've been good. Yeah. They've been in and around. Like I said, the Harry Index had them in the top 10 for much of the season. They've been, because they don't have a lot of big name players.
Yeah,
really like cohesive Ben Darwin type team.
They've been edging closer and closer and closer to the top 3 as the season's got on, and they've finished really, really well. Like they're a genuine top four team in the end. So they were good. Bordeaux did it probably a little bit more comfortably against Toulon in the end. I mean, again, tied at halftime, 15-10, but then Bordeaux scored 3 tries in the second half.
They went bang, bang, bang. It took it away.
Yeah. And they were out 36-10 after 56 minutes. So, that's going to take a fair bit of coming back from there for Toulon in the end.
Your man, Pete Samu, was really good, and he was interviewed at halftime, and he gave the most cliche-ridden interview I've ever seen in my life. He was like, he just gave the same response no matter what she said. It didn't matter, and it was just because of the English broadcast that he was on. And then they had someone from Lester Fanganuku on for Toulon, and he gave the opposite. Like he just went like into machine gun fire. He said so many words. Pete Samu, you know him. He's a very kind of cool dude. He was like, "We're gonna play in the right areas, and we're gonna keep stay in the fight and
defend well, rely on set piece." Yeah. That's gold. So it sets up the finale that we've probably been waiting all season for, realistically. Toulouse v Bordeaux, and that is going to be an absolute ripper next weekend at the Stade Francais the Stade de France in Paris. It's going to be enormous. It's going to be rocking. It'll be a huge crowd. How
very French of them to make it the only game on that particular weekend, the final club game. Like, we're the best. And quite frankly, right now they're putting on a better product. Like, I will not have any complaints about how the rinky dinky it looks. It's gonna look like a proper thing, spectacular. And,
and to your earlier point, they will reap the benefits of knowing that this event was coming all year. They probably even suspected 2 months ago that it was going to be Toulouse and Bordeaux in the final.
There's going to be mermaids. There's going to be sculptures. There's going to be flying objects. There's going to be beauty and art and truth. It's going to be wonderful. Looking forward to it. And by the way, I hope that Bordeaux gets to play in their beautiful their kit. Their uniforms are so unusual because no one else has a really burgundy, like proper burgundy colored kit. I think it's rare. Most people go red. Even the Queensland Reds go too red to be burgundy.
If Toulouse go into the black, will they allow two dark colors, black and burgundy?
Very sad. I don't know.
We'll see. Conference finals in Major League Rugby. New England just shaded Chicago in the Eastern Conference final, 21-20.
That was close.
There, it was close. Not without some technical issues, though. You're telling me the broadcast went down.
Yeah, very disappointing because it's played on ESPN2, which is quite a coup because it's not on the Rugby Network kind of app thing. It's on ESPN. So everyone has ESPN. And then so it's up 17-0. Chicago is up, and then they lose it in the end. And right at the critical moments of that, no one's seeing it.
Right.
And that was a problem across the rugby world. Rugby Pass was doing something for England, France.
Yeah.
And it went on the fritz and had to be put onto YouTube England or something. So,
right.
We got to get this together, because it's embarrassing, because you have a whole new audience watching in the States. It's really, it's packaged well. They have the right commentators on, and then dunk right when Free Jacks are coming back.
Someone's hit the PowerPoint. Yeah, right. So you're right. So Chicago leads 10-0 at halftime. They get out to 17-0 after 45 minutes, and then suddenly, somehow, the Free Jacks start coming back.
Championship team. They know how to do it. Yeah. 3
teams, and then Chicago missed 2 late penalties as well.
The longer you're around playoffs and finals footy, you just realize that these sort of DNA things, arguments about their DNA, mythology, it matters. Like teams that actually believe their own bullshit. Like, we're going to come back from this. And other teams, you just go, no, they're not going to do it. They don't believe it.
Yeah. So the Western Conference final between the Utah Warriors and Houston Sabercats is actually underway right now. The goddamn Houston Sabercats led 21-5 at halftime, and they've actually extended that in the second half. So we'll come back to that later in the week and wrap up on that. But it certainly looks like we're heading for a Houston v New England championship game next weekend. Which do you
want a weird fact about the?
Sure, I love weird facts.
Heavily Mormon area of Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yes,
a rugby match being played there.
I'll even take a tenuous link if need be.
Jeff Goldblum was in the audience. Was in the stadium. I have no idea why. Jeff Goldblum of Jurassic Park fame. I don't know.
Is he a Mormon or B, a rugby fan?
Goldblum suggests not the Mormon, but we'll go with rugby fan or paid endorsement. But
invited influencer.
Yes. I found that fascinating. I remember a couple of years ago there was who was that guy? It wasn't Gerard Butler. It was someone else that was in the Murrayfield.
Oh, Jason Momoa or someone like that. He used to pop up at rugby games all the time.
It was a guy in the Oliver Stone movie from Vietnam. That guy, kind of wiry guy. God, I forgot his name. But anyway, he was sitting in Murrayfield, but like with no explanation. You're like, what is he doing here? Some American actor.
But they just kept cutting to him all the time.
And Gerard Butler was bad. Like, I am supposed to be the designated most famous
guy
in Scottish rugby. Yeah.
What are you doing? Fair. Anything else to wrap this weekend, mate? I think we've got it all.
Feels like it is. Feels like that's it. Those were the games that were played. And that then is the Weekend Post-Mortem behind us. Harry and I remain on the socials in our usual places. You can tell us what you think by finding and following the 8-9 Combo on YouTube, on Twitter, on Blue Sky. We're there everywhere. You can have your say on the 8-9 YouTube channel right just down there in the comments as well. And we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love for you to share us far and wide, leaving us ratings and reviews in your wake as well. That would be wonderful, in fact. This is the 8-9 Combo, the short side set piece combination you didn't realise you needed in a rugby podcast. I'm Brett McKay. He's Harry Jones. He's taking a drink right at the wrong time, and we'll be back in your ears in just a few days' time with our good mate Jeff Parks for another great rugby chat. Come play with us.
Here goes Jones with another bruising run. He links up with McKay, who pops back to Jones. They can't. They won't. They will. What a try. The Dream Team Combo go in again.